It's Aisha.
And Amber, Black Velvet Witch here.
Yes. And we're here for the second part of the scary stories to tell in the dark. It was very, very awesome to talk about the beginning and kind of like go through more of our thoughts of the movie.
It was. And in this little episode, we're going to talk to you more about like the actual monsters, like kind of each one in the movie.
Yeah, and the story. This is major spoilers. Major.
Yeah.
So don't watch this. Don't watch it if you haven't seen the movie and don't want to know the spoilers. I'm going to put a spoiler alert.
Right. Yeah.
It's spoilers.
We're nitpicking it, you know, we're
Right.
analyzing it down.
Yeah. So okay.
If you've seen it, join us.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Here we
All
go. We're going to dig in.
So the beginning of the movie is it takes place on Halloween night in 1968. So it's going
Great
back,
vibe.
going
Such
back
a good
in
vibe.
time, not modern day, which is cool. In Mill Valley, Pennsylvania. Okay. Stella and her friends Augie and Chuck play a prank on the school bully, Tommy Milner, which he reminded me a lot of, I had told you at the time when we were in the movie theater, I was like, he reminds me a lot of
Is it one of the characters from Grease?
No, well, kind of that too, for sure. But he reminded me of Steve from Stranger Things
100%.
in the first season.
Not quite as cute, but
No,
he
no.
was aight. He was aight.
Yeah, it was like in season 1, so he
Yeah.
reminded me of that. And they pranked him by throwing a bag of poop into his car.
Like legit shit. It was
legit,
great.
Like he was like fishing out of the toilet. It was, and his sister was like, "Oh my god, you're so gross!" Like totally like California girl, except in except I was gonna say Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Weird. Anyway, so he crashes his car into the fence, and he gets like super pissed off, and he like runs to like go like beat him up or whatever, because that's what they do in these movies. You know, they're always like beating each other up. And so he and his friends like run through like a whole bunch of like areas where people are trick-or-treating, and then they end up in a drive-through.
Yeah, like a drive-through movie.
Drive-through movie theater. Like they used to have those, you know, they don't have those anymore. But we should find one.
I'd love to.
Oh, I'd love to go to one,
Yeah.
actually. Anyway, good old times. But they end up, like, the regular main cast, Stella and her friends, end up jumping in this random car because they're trying to get away from this bully, Tommy. And this guy is named Ramon, and he's just sitting there watching the movie by himself.
I thought he was really cute, by the way. Like he was just like a sweet
cool.
character.
Yeah, he was good. He was really nice. And anyway, the other guys, the bullies, ended up getting kicked out because they're like, you're disrupting the movie for everybody. So they kind of got saved. And then Stella, the main girl, and Ramon, the guy who owns the car, they start kind of like flirting back and forth.
Yeah, they had a vibe.
There was a vibe there. Yeah, so anyway, they started doing that, and she's like, do you want to see a scary house? And that's how the whole movie kind of starts.
It evolves from that.
It evolves from there.
Yeah. So then they sneak into the haunted house, and they find a book from the family that lived in there prior.
Yeah.
Right?
But before that, one of the boys, Chuck, was like, they were playing like a hide and seek game.
Oh, he had vision, right?
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
went into this like closet thing, and he like opened it a little bit, and it was like a flashback almost. And there was an old lady in the room who was like blind, and she's like, is somebody there? And he just freaked out.
Yeah, she's wearing like this black veil. There's like a giant Doberman.
Yeah, oh yeah, I know, that's what I was thinking. It was so weird.
So he
was already kind of freaked out, and so like, because he's like worried this lady's gonna like see him.
Now, was this a woman that lived in the house, do you think?
I think it was like the grandmother
Okay.
of the family. Because later on she talks, and yeah, I mean, not for very long, but
Yeah.
for a little bit.
Right.
And so anyway, so he like freaks out and he closes the door, and then when he opens it again, he's back in like his own time.
Right.
And the other friend, Augie, who's wearing like this clown costume, he says it's not a clown.
Oh my
but
gosh,
it's a clown.
it was so cute though.
It was cute.
I love. What did he call
do
it
a
though?
picture.
What did he call it?
I can't
He
remember.
was like, I'm not a clown.
I'm not a clown.
I'm something else, and it was.
Yeah, which everybody and their mother was like,
It's a clown.
It's a clown.
But it was really well put together. It was just super cute, super classic, like whatever, like, what was it, 1967? Yeah, it was, like, really good.
But it was even older than that. That was, like, 1800s or something, 1700s. It was, like, really old.
It was just really cute costuming, though.
Yeah. So, anyway, Stella and Ramon are, like, flirting. And they're in, I think it was a kitchen.
I think so.
I think it was a kitchen. And they find this, like, fake door, you know?
Oh, that's right. It's like a trap door.
It's like a trap door, kind of. And they're like, oh, where does this lead? It might lead to the place where because they had this, like, whole story, this, like, urban legend of Sarah Bellows, the youngest daughter.
Right. And the whole, like...
being, like, kept in this room downstairs.
Right.
So they're like, oh, well, maybe we're gonna find her room.
Right. So they're in there kind of, like, you know, trying to provoke things and, you know, trying to find or speak to the spirit of this girl
who used to talk to children through the walls, apparently.
Right. Like,
she tell them, like, scary stories through the walls because they wouldn't let her out.
Right. Like, the rumor was that she was kind of a creepy girl, and the family kind of, like, separated her from everybody else. Like, from kind of like
she's crazy.
They neglected her from the family itself, and they put her in her own room because apparently she was also albino. So she was kept separate for being different. And they find her book that she wrote.
Yeah, and they like start going through it, and they're like, oh my god, she was real. You know, the book's real. You know, this is insane. And that's when Tommy, the bully, shows up. He somehow figured out where they were, and one of the other main characters, Chuck, his sister, is actually dating the bully.
Right.
So she's just, like, tagged along.
He really ends up being a total ass, though, because he, like, pushes her and throws her in and locks her in a room.
He, like, throws her in with all of the other people and just locks them in there.
Yeah.
And she's like, I didn't even want to be here to begin with, and you just kind of, like, stuck me with all these losers.
Right.
So anyway, they're, like, trying to figure out a way out and talking, and just all of a sudden the door opens. It's like supernatural force, like, opens the door and lets them out.
Right.
Which, at that point, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. And then Stella steals the book. Because she's like kind of like a gothic character. And one thing that we kind of didn't like is they don't give a very deep backstory about the characters. Like,
no.
So when things happen to them, because they all start disappearing as the book is writing itself, and they're all like getting snatched up by these monsters or whatever, and you don't feel emotionally connected to the characters.
No, you don't. And that's definitely something...
development in the storyline that they kind of...
they missed out on. I mean, I get that it was already like 102 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
But they could have just added a little bit more, and it could have
taken off. It would have created more of
and they did like try to like
connection.
Kind of like backtrack it later on in the movie, but it just didn't work as it would if they had upfronted the entire thing.
Well, because the whole time you know that something happened to Stella's mother. Like, I think her mother was mentally unstable or something.
Yeah, and she just left.
They don't explain that.
But yeah, they don't explain any of it. But the father's like, it's not your fault, and they just don't explain it.
There are gaps. That kind of leave you a little, like, kind of questioning and hanging a little bit. Same at the end of the movie, it leaves you hanging. So based on the way it ended, we're like, they have to make another one. But there was nothing after the credits, so you know,
we waited and we're like,
oh darn, yeah.
Why?
But just the way it ended, though, you know, because all these characters are disappearing, you know, and then they don't come back. So it's like, well, they have to come back, right?
Right, yeah, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
So anyway, they ended up, the bully ended up trashing Ramon's car, and he has to go to the mechanic to get it fixed. And so Stella, the main character, is like, oh, you can stay at my house. You can stay, like, in the basement.
I kind of, another thing, too, about the movie, though, it could be because of the time period, is, like, I definitely picked up on some, like, racism, kind of, with Ramon, just because I think
he wasn't black, but he was
like
darker
Hispanic,
skinned.
I think. So, like, I think, and that could have been the time period.
It was,
too.
I feel.
But, like, yeah, there were hints of that in there, which I think is great, because, I mean, not that racism is good, it's bad. But they really kind of were able to capture the essence of that time.
Of the time period, I think, for sure.
So they did as best as they could with that, for sure.
So the next part is tiled Harold.
The characters. This is the really exciting part. Harold is my favorite. The Scarecrow is my favorite. The Scarecrow! So, yeah, Harold.
So, that's the one they teased the most.
Yeah.
Out of this entire movie.
It's like this like scary Scarecrow. He's like this, like in the field, and He really
There's like a hole through him because they wanted to make sure that people knew that he wasn't just a guy in a costume like walking around by himself.
He really looks ill.
Yeah. So Stella steals the book and she's in her bedroom like reading it, and all of a sudden it starts writing a new book, like a new page in the book, and it's titled a new story, a new chapter. Yeah. So it starts saying, it says Harold, and it's written in blood, and
I like that. This is totally off topic, but I have always thought it would be kind of cool to paint with my blood. Like, I don't know if that's like really morbid and weird, but yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. Like, I feel like a blood painting could be cool.
if it was just for you.
Yeah. I don't know. I just felt,
I don't know, that is different.
I felt inspired to share that, but
carry on. It could be different.
I mean, I don't know. Some people could look at that as really twisted, but like, I think it's kind of neat.
Yeah, it could be. It depends.
I don't know.
Like I said, like if you were like to like show people and be like, I painted this with my blood, they'd be like, oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
They wouldn't believe you, and it would be like blood would actually stay red.
It'd be brown. It'd dry brown. So really, it could be kind of neat. But anyway,
that was just off. But so Stella discovers the new story. It's called Harold, and it has a character named Tommy, which is the bully. So she's like, huh,
interesting.
I know somebody named Tommy. What's going on? So anyway, he comes home, Tommy, and he's like drunk off his butt. And his mom's like, literally, this is like, I think like midnight or like 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
And she's like, y'all need to deliver these eggs to the neighbor. And I'm like, it's the middle of the night.
He's like stumbling around.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's the middle of the night. Why do they need the eggs like right now? Can you do it like in the morning? Like, I don't get it.
This is totally my favorite tale though, because like he's just, and it's the first one they kind of introduced to, and he's just like very like drunkenly like wandering through this dark, crunchy cornfield. And he runs across Harold, just like, you know, there's like spiders there crawling around Harold's face.
Oh, and it was like cockroaches, like by his face.
And then as he's like, you know, wandering about in here, like trying to get to the house to deliver these eggs, like Harold keeps showing up at dead ends. And then like,
so he's starting to freak out.
He finally kind of gets to this house where he's supposed to be, and he like,
it's like the scarecrow like absorbs him.
Yes, he
stabs him. Yeah, he stabs him with a pitchfork.
That's right, I forgot about that. And Harold takes it and he's like, Fing!
Yeah, and he stabs Tommy with the pitchfork.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, there's straw coming out of Tommy's mouth.
I love that.
He becomes like the scarecrow.
They did so, and you know, really a scarecrow is not a scary thing.
No.
But they did a great job of making it really creepy.
It was scary. Yeah, no, like, definitely, like, I wouldn't want to be around the scarecrow.
No, it was creepy as hell. Yeah.
It was.
So, and honestly, out of all of the different monsters, like, straight up, like, the scarecrow was my favorite.
Love.
Yeah, kind of no contest, really.
No contest.
Yeah.
Really. So, anyway, it says, vomiting hay and seemingly becoming the scarecrow. So, Stella and Ramon investigate and find that the scarecrow the next day is wearing Tommy's clothes.
So, like,
wearing his, like, Letterman jacket, you know, like the iconic, like, football thing, and they're like, okay, that's not right.
Right.
Something's wrong.
Right. And then, so they really start to piece together something is wrong with this book.
Yeah, and so she's convinced that that's him, and she's like, well, maybe we should go to the police, and Ramon's like, I kind of got into, like, a thing with the police earlier, I don't want to do that. So they're like, okay, we just won't.
Right.
So, the next one's called The Big Toe.
Yeah. We mentioned this in the previous video, and, like...
We mentioned that.
Yeah.
So that night they're sitting in the bedroom, like trying to figure out, like Stella and Ramon are trying to figure out, like, okay, did Tommy, like, you know, totally disappear, or what happened? It's just not normal. And that's when the story starts being written, The Big Toe, with the main character of Augie, which is one of her friends, the friend that was wearing the clown costume.
Right. So each friend gets pulled into the book, like, and it's kind of cool. Like, then they notice like, oh no, like it's this friend now that's in the story. So
who's next?
Right. So they try to alert the friend, and like he comes across in the refrigerator this giant pot of stew, and he's like, oh, I'm just gonna eat this.
And then he's talking on the phone to like his mom or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna eat this stew, and the mom's
she's like, I didn't make any
stew. Yeah, and what are you talking about? He's like, well, somebody did.
Yeah, and I'm like, ew, gross, you know. And they call him, and he's all like, oh, I'm just eating some, and they're like, don't eat it.
And he just ignores them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
so it was a little annoying.
Yeah, it was. And I was like, if you were to call me and say don't eat that, I definitely wouldn't eat it.
I'd be like, what the hell's wrong with it?
I mean, like, how do you know that I'm eating that? You know what I mean? Yeah, I'd be like, how do you know I'm about to eat this? Mm-hmm. Like, are you looking at me through the window or something?
And then like,
so you know, he like eats part of it.
He bites into the toe, like the actual nasty zombie toe, and he also like spills over the stew, and you see all these other body parts like eyeballs.
Because he like pulls the toe out of his mouth, and then that's when he realizes it, and in his like shock, he like knocks it over.
Yeah. And then they're like, you're gonna start hearing voices. You're gonna hear voices.
And he's like, I'm not hearing anything.
And he's like, there's nothing here. I'm fine. And then it's like a zombie creature, right?
It says a living corpse.
Okay. So it's a dead body walking. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not quite a zombie, I guess. Well, technically, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a zombie, I guess.
So anyway, he flees back into his bedroom, and he's like, okay, it can't get me here. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll be safe if I go under the bed. Which y'all know.
Everybody goes under the bed.
Everybody knows that's not where you go.
No. No. And now, I can't remember, but doesn't the Walking Dead thing sit on the bed? Or was that a different...
So what happened was, so he like rushed under the bed, and he like thought that they were underneath the bed.
Yeah.
So they were doing a whole bunch of stuff.
And then it rips him.
And
and then you got the whole like hands, claw marks on the floor.
Yeah, he's like...
And then he's
gonna go back the bed later, and he was like underneath the bed, but his like fingernails like ripped it.
Right.
And it was just like,
and then boom, gone.
He was just gone.
So then you got two characters missing, and it kind of keeps like basically like going in that direction, you know, like each of the friends kind of like starts disappearing.
It's just picked off.
So after that, it's the sister.
Right. So, but we're at the 20-minute mark.
Okay.
So we're going to cut this one, check, and then we're going to go to the next one. Mm-hmm. It's just so much easier for everybody because nobody likes to watch videos that are really long. And this is like an extensive,
in-depth analysis of
this movie. So we want to... But next, a little teaser. Mm-hmm. So the big toe, so they take him away. Augie's gone.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to him, who knows?
Yeah, we
don't know.
We never find out.
We never find out.
Yeah.
The next one is the red spot, and that's about the sister. Mm-hmm. That one was scary. Like for me,
it was just nasty. It was nasty. If you've got like arachnophobia, you're gonna freak out.
Yeah. So anyway, stay tuned. Watch our next one. It's gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.